Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. We're doing something a little different today. I'm just going to show this in real time. This is my Briggs & Stratton CR950, and in the last video the pull cord broke and came out when I was splitting some wood. Now I didn't have the camera rolling when that happened. I was just splitting wood in between video shoots there, and the splitter stalled. It was actually out of gas too. It was a combination of two things. There was a big tough piece of wood, and it was pulling a lot of power, sucking a lot of gas, and it stalled, but it also ran out of gas at the same time. And then I tried to restart it, and the pull cord ripped out of it, and it started sputtering. If I would have put gas in it, it would have started again, but I didn't realize it was also out of gas because the engine stalled. And I'm aware what that looks like when it's stalled, so I thought it was just a normal stall and not also the gas. So anyways, moving on. This is after the repair. I got it back going again. But for today's video, I'm just going to show myself fixing this pull cord mechanism in real time. It might be a little bit boring, but if you want to see how easy it is to do this, even for a first timer, it's a little different than a chainsaw. I have fixed a chainsaw, but this is my first time doing one with this kind of setup. So the first step is to burn that pull cord and melt that string together. Ooh. And watch your fingers, because that will be hot. Now you don't have to use a raw cigarette lighter, but I chose to. Now I'm reusing the same pull cord. They typically break off right at the very end where that friction is, where it comes out of the hole in that little spool. That's under a lot of pressure, and it gets abrasion rubbing against that little hole. So they usually break right at the end. I only wasted about 2 or 3 inches of pull cord, and that's plenty of cord to get going. If you want to buy a new cord, a new handle, all that, you can do that. You can buy long spools, hundreds of feet of that pull cord, or you can just buy a replacement. You just need to figure out which gauge string you have. It's usually like a 4 or a 5, I believe, and most of them will work, either or, but that is something of minor importance, what gauge the string is there now. So the main thing with these, and like I said, I've done a chainsaw, and I did my MS-180 chainsaw, and it has that easy start mechanism, so that's a whole other type of pull cord. If you want to see how to do that, go look at that video, but you're not here for a still chainsaw, I'm sure. But you just basically, you need to wind that spring up until it's pretty tight. Sometimes they go all the way, and they won't tighten, they won't turn anymore. You don't want to really wrench it down and over tighten it, because you can break that spring. So the next thing on this style is you can just kind of wedge something in there so it doesn't spin back around, because it'll hurt your hands. If you let go of that thing, it'll go flying, and you'll lose your knot and your string and everything, and you lose all the tension. So you can wedge something in there. Now I tried to use a screwdriver to wedge that in there, and it wasn't fitting real good, so I'm going to change that in a minute. But here I am. That's how much string I wasted. That's where the knot broke, about 3 inches of string there. I mean, 2 inches, and then plus however much it took to tie that figure-8 knot. And then all you got to do is just line up the hole where it comes out of the housing and where it goes into that spool. There's 2 different little holes there. You can see where, you can tell what I'm doing. You just put it through that hole and then line it up with the inner hole on that spool. And then you got to pull it through. And this takes me a minute, because when I melted that wire, it's got a little bit of kind of some raggedy edges on it sticking out where that wire's melted, or where that rope is melted. So it takes me a minute to grab it and get a hold of it and just pull it through a little bit. But you just basically pull this thing through and tie a new knot in it here shortly. And like I said, this is going to take a minute, so we'll be right back with you. Okay, so as I said, that screwdriver was not fitting through the hole. It was just kind of wedged in there, just barely, the tip of it was just barely in there, wouldn't go through. So I just grabbed a pair of scissors and stuck it in there. It holds a lot better. So here I am tying that figure 8 knot, and you can look up how to do that. It's a little different than just your standard overhand knot, and you want to have a big knot in there. That's the important thing. If you just tie one simple little knot, it'll rip out of that hole again, and then everything, all that work, you'll have to take it apart and do it again. And I learned that when I was doing my Stihl chainsaw. The knot I tied that was going through my handle was just a couple overhand knots, and those will tighten down and pull through. So you got to have a big knot on the end, or a group of overhand knots right on top of each other. And that's why that figure 8 knot is a little better. It's just a little bit more of a bulky knot. And that's pretty much it. I just fixed it right there. I just tied it through, put a knot in that, and then I was off to the races. I pulled that scissors out, and you can use anything, a piece of wire, an ice pick, whatever will fit through there. You know what to do there. So thanks for watching. All right, now everybody, that was just a quick little ditty here today on fixing that pull cord on a Briggs & Stratton engine. If you learned something, if you liked it, if you hated it, whatever, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and watch more videos. That'd be a big help. That's not a big job at all. You just pop those 3 bolts off and pull that mechanism off. Pull your rope out, tighten that spring up, and re-spool it around there. I think you can figure out how to do that, then you just bolt it right back on. Now it's always good to, if you got a camera or an iPhone or anything, you can always film it before and make sure you know where the bolts are and everything, but you can see the bolt pattern on there. Sometimes I do that when I'm messing with electronics and things that I've never taken apart before. I'll film it from a lot of angles and make sure I have footage, so when I'm putting it back together I know where everything goes. But I'm going to go back out and split some wood here soon with this thing, and you'll see it up and running. Not a big deal. It's back in action, and I also have my new microphone in action. I think I'm going to like that a lot. I'll have a review coming if you haven't seen it already. But that's a whole other subject, so stay tuned to the channel and we'll get those coming out. The videos will be coming out 3 times a week. We got them. See you guys later. Thanks for watching. Tuesday, when the hell do I have videos coming out?